What's the biggest difference between the armed forces of the USA and Russia? Is it hardware? Technologies? Amount of funds allocated by taxpayers, perhaps? I think it's people. And I'd like to show you an example of a real difference between Russian and American armies. Their people. On January 14, 2024, while executing military orders, the A-50 aircraft of the Aviation Group for the combat use of long-range radar detection crashed. This is the picture I took of one of the A-50s at the Moscow Air Show back in 2009. It is towering all the way back behind those aircraft. You see how massive that thing is? It has a flying radar on top. Well, it is a flying radar. It has radar on top of the plane. Russian news reported just like that. It crashed. No other explanation was given to us, and the rumors went rampant that the A-50 was shot down by friendly fire. According to the rumors, the A-50 was misidentified as an enemy target. Russian Ministry of Defense went silent, as if nothing happened, as if the plane didn't crash. Well, that was a good confirmation that indeed it was a friendly fire. When they keep silent, it's kind of like admitting their guilt, their fault. Well, Russian people ate that, as they had been eating all other strange events and news that had occurred in the previous 2 years. I mean, there had been things much stranger, much stranger. For example, Private Army Wagner, a part of the Russia's armed forces, fighting the Air Force of Russian Federation, also part of the armed forces. The Private Army Wagner shot down 3 helicopters, Mi-35, Ka-52, Mi-8, MTPR, and 1 plane, Il-22, the Flying Communications Center. All Air Force pilots operating the aircraft were killed by Private Army Wagner. And that was done in the daylight, and Prigozhin and his troops bragged about it openly. You know, they posted news in the Telegram channels and so forth. Now, that is odd. Russian armed forces killing Russian armed forces. Much odder than downing of the A-50. So the A-50 crashed back in January, or it was shot down by friendly fire. Who cares? It was taken fairly lightly by the public. Another one bites the dust type of news. And everyone moved on, and it was forgotten. But something interesting happened 6 months later. Before I jump there, I would like, once again, to thank you, those of you who bought me coffees at buymeacoffee.com. The support shows that you value my work highly, and please know, it's not just the coffee that you're buying me. It's the most powerful positive feedback I could ever get. It inspires me and gives me energy to move forward. You know, tells me I'm doing the right thing. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Recently, I caught a speech made by Colonel Rosanna Clemente, the Assistant Chief of Staff of the 10th U.S. Army. And here is what she said. Now, her speech is about, is over 4 minutes, almost 5 minutes, so I, playing it at a higher speed a little bit.
The more compelling historic date is May 4th, 2023. And I'm extremely honored and humbled to be on this stage, like Colonel Denman and KJ, and to have some of the folks in the room from 3688, those were led by Lieutenant Colonel Seth Barrett, led that charge when we were tasked in January of 2023 to deliver ballistic missile defense capability to the people of Ukraine in the form of a Patriot battery. So that training occurred just down the road here at Fort Sill. And then in April of 2023, we conducted a combined validation exercise with Ukrainians that were trained by the Germans, with Ukrainians that were trained by the Dutch, and the Ukrainians that were trained by the Americans. And in Poland, we conducted a validation exercise. That went on for 2 weeks. Then the equipment was transferred into Ukraine and was emplaced to protect the city of Kyiv by the end of April. And at approximately 02:30 in the morning, local time in Kyiv, the Ukrainians engaged their first air-launched ballistic missile with a U.S.-donated Patriot battery.
So I'll rewind like the footage a little bit, and Tony spoke to kind of General Brady's.
I'm going to fast forward.
Some of their first ambushes were to shoot down Russian C-27s, along the Russian border. What we saw was a lot of interoperability challenges across their systems. I watched them during air alert once try to navigate interbattle, and not to get into too much detail, but it's tough. Until they got that DPIC, those Patriot batteries were operating autonomously, and they're engaging based on an assumption, that this airspace, anything that's flying is hostile, so they're going to shoot it down, and they were over-engaging. They're engaging things that are outside of a defended asset. Colonel Devin knows this. His guys train Ukrainians, their kids. Like the TCO that shot down that first Killjoy is 23 years old. And they were operating these systems autonomously. So until we were able to provide them with different types of interoperability capabilities like a DPIC, until they were, to be honest with you, able to hack some of the Western donated systems integrated into their existing COPS and air operation centers, they were fighting this war on signal and cell phones. So really just an innovative, creative group of air defenders that are accomplishing some pretty remarkable things.
In nutshell, she said that the Russian A-50 aircraft in January of this year was shot down not by friendly fire, Russian friendly fire, but she suggested it was done with the help of American-made Patriot air defense systems. She also told about the Patriot systems ambush, resulting in shooting down of several other Russian aircraft, fighter jets, and attacks helicopters in Bryansk region. Well, when the recording of Colonel Clemente speaking surfaced 6 months after the downing of the A-50 happened, no Russian military command got surprised. It seemed like they knew already. What was new was the Americans stopped being shy talking about the events, and they kind of went public with them. So, now, the most interesting part to me personally was not what happened to the A-50, but the figure of Colonel Rosanna Clemente. Her speaking and handling herself was very different from what I usually see of Russian colonels and generals. So, who is she? Colonel Rosanna Ro M. Clemente is first-generation Filipino-American born and raised in New Jersey. She graduated from the United States Military Academy in 2002 with a bachelor's degree in the U.S. history and holds a master's of military science and national security and master's degree in strategic studies. So, Ro has held unit leadership and command assignments from the platoon to the battalion level, including battalion command of U.S. Patriot in Okinawa, Japan. She has advised DARPA project managers on emerging C-IED virtual reality command and control radar and missile technologies. Ro currently serves as the Assistant Chief of Staff for Operations G3 at the 10th Army Air and Missile Defense Command. 3 degrees, 2 advanced ones, bachelor's degree in the U.S. history, master's degree in military science and national security, and master's degree in strategic studies. She has grown as servicewoman from the very bottom to the almost very top. And she did that while simultaneously pursuing a scientific career advising DARPA project managers on new technologies and virtual reality and so forth. And her parents came from the Philippines, so she is immigrant's daughter. She is an embodiment of a successful patriotic citizen working hard pursuing the American dream. She is the symbol. She represents everything good what America stands for and what it has to offer. Now, okay, understood. Now I decided to find someone of Colonel Clemente's caliber in the Russian army. So to speak, to compare someone with her, face to face. And I searched and searched and searched. I searched colonels and even generals in the air defense field and in other areas who have military education and 2 advanced civil degrees, who advised high-tech companies in Russia, say VK or Sber, on advanced achievements of artificial intelligence or anything else, whatever, just anything. I couldn't find such person in the entire Russian armed forces. Instead, I found something different. First, a proverb that says that it is impossible for son of colonel in the Russian army to become general when he grows up, because every Russian general has son of his own. And second, I found the flood of information on corruption in the Russian army and in the Air Force. How Russian generals steal from Russian federal budget, left and right, and the Minister of Defense traveling around Russia and threatening those generals to prosecute them. How Russian generals get arrested by packs, and how Russian generals die of suspicious deaths, often in the KGB prisons, because most likely they know who stole the money and where money went to. And this is what I found. If you know anyone of similar caliber of Colonel Clemente in the Russian armed forces, please let me know. Perhaps I just missed him. Let me know down below in the comments. I would really appreciate it. Yeah, right there, it'd be perfect. I just couldn't find it. For the last 2 decades, Russian leadership was cultivating and selling the taxpayers the idea that the Russian armed forces were number 2 in the world, following the USA. And in the last year or so, the propaganda has been trying to raise the informational stakes, believe it or not, by selling Russians that the Russian army has become number 1. Yes, check this out. These are, the articles saying that how Russian army has become number 1, and they cite, most likely fake American magazine, but that's the whole purpose of having that fake magazine in the United States. So they're trying to sell this idea, sexy idea, that Russian army has become the strongest, number 1. In reality, it's not number 1. It's not number 2. It's more like number 22. Colonel Rosanna Clemente just defeated this big Russian propagandist myth by her 4-minute speech, her character, and her life story. She has showed the abyss existing between the 2 militaries, the Russians and the Americans, the Russian military and the American military. Russians simply have no one even close to compare with Colonel Clemente, and she's just one colonel. There are hundreds like her. I don't even mention American generals. In my opinion, it's safe to say that strengths of the armed forces of both countries compare accordingly. The armed forces represent their countries quite well. The American, equal opportunities for everyone, hard work as virtue, honesty, values, education. The Russian, nepotism, corruption, stealing. It all makes the American army number 1 and the Russian number 22. So does the American army stand a chance against the Russian army? Does American Colonel Clemente stand a chance against Russian General Timur Ivanov? Yes, this guy right here. That's him, arrested, behind the bars, behind the glass. Does she stand a chance against Timur Ivanov, who just in a few short years accumulated wealth of rumored $62 billion. Does Colonel Clemente stand chance against others corrupt generals who care about stealing money, transferring them to the West? Does she stand a chance? To me, the answer is clear. The defense rests its case, but what do you think? Please let me know down below in the comments. And now, watch the latest crazy news update I made last Friday. It's filled with crazy stuff. I think you're gonna like it. The link is right here.